Would you debate for love? And despite everything, say you won't give up. Would you debate for love? And despite everything, say you won't give up, don't give up.
Hey friends, I'm Heather Pace, and today is something a little different on my channel. I'm sharing my coming out story.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to my late life lesbian journey. In this video, I wanted to share with you sort of what my first year of dating was like since getting divorced and dating women and all of that.
Today I am talking to you guys about my late life lesbian journey.
This is a little scary for me. Well, here I am in my late 30s with my first girlfriend. And the crazy thing is, I spent most of my life being boy crazy, chasing man after man after man, looking for my husband, my soulmate, my Prince Charming. I was even married to a man, and now I've never been happier with a woman. It's so crazy. But you know, this didn't just like poof manifest out of thin air. It's actually been quite a journey just to get to this point of allowing myself to explore a partnership with a woman. So my story goes all the way back to age 14 or 15 when the thought popped into my head one day that I'm attracted to girls. It was just random. I was sitting at home one day. There was no person in particular. I was just sitting at home and this thought came into my head. And I was like, oh, okay. I brushed it aside and I carried on. I always dated guys in high school, and then I went to college and I met a boyfriend there who I dated for the 2 years of college. But clue number 2 came along when my friend and I used to take naps together in my bed between classes, and I felt like cuddling with her. I felt like putting my arm around her and just thought like, Heather, like that's silly. Plus I had a boyfriend and everything, and I just sort of brushed off that thought and carried on.
It was definitely an eye-opening experience. I mean, I'm 33. I just turned 34, so I was, I guess, 32 and turned 33. I was in my 30s. Had been married for 11 years, been in a relationship for 15, and not only was I back in the dating world, but I was dating women. And so for starters, it was hard because I feel like I knew how to be in a relationship, but I didn't really know how to date. You know, I wasn't one that wanted to play games. I didn't want to do all that. I'm just very straightforward, honest, direct. And so that was kind of difficult because I just felt like I was ready to just almost like jump right into a relationship. And so that kind of took some time to like figure out how do I go about dating? And I definitely learned a lot of lessons over that first year. I'm sure I will continue to learn lessons. But the first girl that I dated, right as I was getting divorced, you know, I know some people take time, and honestly, like I probably needed some time. Like I probably should have taken a period of time, but I was so excited to finally get to explore dating women that I definitely just jumped right into it. And the first girl that I dated, you know, it was good, and there were some good things about it, but she had a really difficult time with my relationship with my ex-husband. And I tried to rationalize it. I tried to make excuses for it because I figured, okay, like, I mean, technically we were still not even officially divorced. And then when we were officially divorced, we were still like moving out of the same house into our own separate houses. So of course I understood like that could be difficult for someone, you know, that could be kind of threatening. You know, I'm still ending something with a person that I've had this whole history with while trying to start something new with somebody else. And so I tried to be understanding, but it just got to the point where, you know, she had issues if he was in my house, like with our son, or if I talked to him ever about anything other than things related to our son. And it just became honestly kind of very controlling of that relationship. And I got to the point where I couldn't take it. Like, I tried to understand it, I tried to rationalize it, but it just kept getting worse.
Yeah, so that's what we'll be talking about. So today I am telling my story, a late life journey as a lesbian. I grew up in a very conservative small town in Alabama. I was dating a guy when I was in college, and we had a conversation, and he had mentioned that if I happened to be a guy, that he still would love me. And I think that was the first conversation where I kind of opened up and actually thought about it. Just kind of had a crush, I guess, on Dolores O'Riordan back in the day, the Cranberries. So that's kind of when I realized that, oh, I kind of like women. I had kind of fooled around with a girl just to kind of see what it was like. I had always had a little interest in it. So I fooled around a little bit, and that was my first experience. I wasn't into her or even really into women very much at that point. I was in my like mid-20s, and then probably a few years later I met this one woman, and we kind of dated. She was completely straight other than fooling around with girls a little bit. So I went out with her, and that's when I realized, okay, this is what I want. I think I'm really, really into girls. So we went out probably 6 months, and I kind of thought we were dating. I guess we were dating. We were going out on dates. We're fooling around, kind of friends with benefits type thing. And then one weekend came, and I wanted to have a conversation about what the status of what was going on. Is it a relationship or what? And that is the weekend I found out that she was dating a guy and dating me on the side, and she wanted to have the best of both worlds. And the guy was okay with it. I was not. So there was a little battle with that. I kind of didn't do good by myself by letting myself get involved in that situation, because I did care about her. So yeah, I didn't have the best footing on trying to figure out this whole lesbian thing, if that's even what it was. I still didn't know what I was, or if I wasn't sure. I just had an attraction, which I noticed later in life.
So after college, guy after guy, more relationships with men, I was really, really searching for my husband, and I wanted to be married with 2 kids by the time I was in my mid-20s. Well, that came and went. And then when I was 26, I had a boyfriend who I ended up having my first threesome with. Now, he knew a girl who was interested in exploring being with a woman, and I told him that I was curious. And so he set this up, and we had a fun time together, but I realized that like having a threesome wasn't really my thing. But at least it was sort of like a little bit of a gateway into all of this, and allowing me to admit that I was interested in being with a woman. So after that, that was just a one-time thing. I carried on, more dating with men, and then I thought I met my soulmate. A guy, I was certain he was the one. This is it, deal done. Well, we were together for about 2.5 years, and I desperately wanted to marry him. And I'm so glad now that life did not go that way. But after we broke up, I went back to dating more men, and then I moved to Vancouver. And this was good because I allowed myself to open up to the possibility of exploring being with a woman. And so I went on the dating apps, and I was looking to date girls, but I was actually looking to date guys as well. So I dated one girl in particular, and that was great for me. It was sort of like another launching pad, and the only thing was I was dating guys at the same time. So my attention to being with her was very diluted because I was still in the program and the patterning of like chasing this husband. Oh my goodness. So carried on, and soon after that, when I moved to Victoria, I met a man who I ended up marrying. I was in my early 30s, and I thought, well, you know, he really wants to marry me. He loves and he adores me so much. Okay, let's do this. But you know what? I had a gut feeling that it was not going to be forever and that something was not totally right. So I really married him for the wrong reasons, but I was so obsessed with the idea still that I needed to be married to a man and I needed this picture perfect life. And so I went for it. And throughout our marriage, I actually asked if we could bring women in.
So that first relationship taught me that nobody's going to dictate what my relationship with my ex-husband and my son's father was going to look like. And I'm thankful for that. You know, it was a eye-opening experience. And so I took that with me, that I wasn't going to let that influence, or I guess moving forward, I wasn't going to let anyone influence that relationship. I knew what that relationship was. You know, I totally knew things were over and there was nothing to be worried about. And, you know, like him and I are still good friends, and we still, you know, need to be in each other's lives because of our son, and we want to maintain a good relationship for our son. So nobody was going to get to dictate what that was going to look like. And I dated a few other people, you know, had another girl that I dated, and it was a perfectly fine relationship, but just learned more of like that I wasn't getting what I wanted, you know, so ended that one. And I had friends telling me, oh, you know, like you need to be dating multiple people, like don't just jump right in and get into a relationship. And so I honestly even tried that method. I had a few different people I was talking to and would go on, you know, went on a couple dates with here and there. But for me, I realized for myself that I just wasn't the type of person that I was. Yeah, you know, it was great to like have all these people to talk to because there was always some type of like attention or interest, but it was just wasn't me. You know, I'm one that where I will talk to people. If I start to date you and I'm interested, like then I want to just give my time to you. So, but it was time to kind of figure that out and experience that. And, you know, it's definitely interesting, like online dating, Tinder, Bumble, all of that, you know, definitely an experience, and how crazy it can be to have such a great connection through texting and all that. And then you meet and it's just like nothing there, or, you know, like just, I don't know, just wasn't the same in person. And I will say I had one person that, you know, because I really appreciate openness and honesty and just being straightforward. And so that's how I would always try to be with dating. Like if I went on a date and I just wasn't interested, I'd just be honest and just say, you know, it wasn't there for me. There was never any point in dragging it out for me. And I even had one girl that I went on a date with. Things seemed to go really well. I reached back out and like, she was honest. She was like, you know, I had a great time with you, but she's like, there's somebody else I'm talking to that I just feel more of a connection with and have more interest in. I was like, fantastic. Thank you. Like you told me what was going on, and I don't know where she went, what happened to her, but I have a ton of respect for her because she was straightforward and honest.
So I ended up being very close friends with the female that I had dated for about 6 months, if you call that dating, when she was going out with a guy. So we got to be very, very close friends. She was one of my close friends, and she had mentioned that you're not gay, you're not bi, you're just trying to figure things out. She said, you need to go out with a guy. If you go out with a guy, then I won't bug you again. So she was kind of pushy and not really trying to help me figure out what it is that I was at the time. So there was a guy that was interested in me, so I went out with him. And I remember telling a friend of mine at work who sat across from me, she was a lesbian, and I said that this isn't what I wanted. I wanted to go out with a woman. This just feels like I'm settling. This really isn't what I want, but oh well, I'll see where this goes. So I went out with that man for almost 2 years, and I just knew probably 6 months in, well, at the beginning, that this wasn't for me. He was really nice and polite and all the good qualities that you would want in someone, but I just knew this isn't what I wanted. It wasn't meant to be. So we ended up breaking up, and then I spent 6 years of that time after that relationship where I just looked inside internally, and I wanted to know, I didn't want to jump into anything or waste my time or anyone else's time on something that really wasn't a good fit for me. So I took 6 years where I was just taking a break, situating myself in a career. I changed careers. I wanted to make sure that I was on good footing, that I was in a good, stable place. I was in a place where I could commit to someone fully. If I wanted to go out with someone again, I had told myself I was not going to settle. And then came 2019. And that was the year. I just realized that year, it was February. I just remember deciding, okay, this is it. I'm ready. I want to try this. I wasn't in the lesbian or gay community in my town. I didn't even know where to start. How do you find someone? I didn't go to bars, so I wasn't sure how you go about meeting someone in the community. But I knew that I wanted to try this out. So I went on Match, and that was horrible. It was a horrible experience. The first person I met and the only person I matched with was someone right around my age, attractive. We went on a couple of dates. I think we went out about 4 times within a 2-week period. And then she was a psychologist and in the process of writing a book and very intelligent, and she ghosted me. And I wasn't even feeling it with her. I don't know, it just didn't work out. So for that first experience of me trying to get out into the dating world, it could have made me take a step back after 6 years of not even dating at all, a single person. But I didn't. I decided to, I guess when that went downhill, I flipped over onto the men's side just to make sure.
To kind of spice things up. And he's very open-minded sexually. So he said, yes, let's do it. So had another threesome. There were different girls here and there. Not too many. I allowed him to play. He kind of allowed me to play. So basically, like, I had a girlfriend for a while.
And I really liked how it was just, you know, this friend who liked to do the same things as I did, but then we were intimate as well. So that was only a short thing, lasted maybe like a few months. And him and I ended up getting divorced. We split. And there I was back on the dating train, looking for men, looking for my Prince Charming. More and more. And then I dated another guy, and I thought he was the one. I really thought he was the one. But when that ended, I finally allowed myself to say, okay, Heather, what do you want? And the one thing I have not truly explored that I really wanted to was actually having a relationship with a woman where I like fully submerse myself in it. And so I decided to. I went online and I met one person. And she is my girlfriend now. We just completely hit it off, but she is totally different from my usual type because typically I'm attracted to very feminine women and she's not. She is much more masculine. But she is just so beautiful, so nurturing, so loving, so kind. We have fun together. I think it's good that we have different interests, and it's just been a really, really great relationship so far. And I see us being together for a long time. And so it's crazy to think that somebody like me, who was so boy crazy for so long, is now so happy with a woman. And you know, because the truth is, like, this has been inside of me
like basically my whole life. And I was just so stuck in like societal conditioning of needing to be with a man that I couldn't even allow myself to see like how much I desired this. And so that's the story. And I really wanted to share this in case you've had any of the same feelings that I have throughout your life. Like, all I can say is, honestly, if you have even a seed of feeling like you want to explore being with a woman, then do it. Do it, do it, do it. Don't wait. Sometimes I wonder what my life would have been like if I had allowed myself to fully explore this earlier on. But at the same time, I believe everything happens for a reason and things are always in the perfect divine time. So here we are, and you know what? I feel just so happy and so grateful. And yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions or comments, do leave them in the comment section below, and maybe we'll bring my girlfriend on in a future video and she could share her story, which is quite different from mine. She comes from Latvia, where it's really not very accepted, and so yeah, she's got her own story, so maybe we'll save that for next time. Okay, have a great day. See you later. Bye-bye.
So yeah, you know, I can kind of continue to put myself out there, try talking to different people. I, at one point, fell hard for somebody who didn't live in this country. And, short, it was brief, but it wasn't right. And I even learned a lesson from that, we always say fall for, and I could honestly probably make a whole other video just on this, but it wasn't real, wasn't like true, genuine, substantial. And I learned that lesson. It was sort of that quick, hard infatuation, I think, and yeah, that was another lesson that I learned. And so now I'm kind of at present day, where I do have a girlfriend, and we met on Instagram, which a lot of you might actually know that. And so far, it's really, really good. And it's crazy because, I would think through all the things that I want, and I, kind of asked for and envisioned and imagined like this perfect person, like the qualities that they have, the relationship we'd have, the dynamic that we'd have. And right now, again, I know it's still young and new, but that's what I seem to have found. So I'm very excited to see where that goes. But I will say it's scary. And it's scary to get exactly what you want. And I'll probably talk about this in another video, but I will just leave it at that. That is something that is very scary and definitely kind of took me back. Like, wow, like, can this really be true? Like, they say if something's too good to be true, it probably is. So when our relationship started, it was definitely a very scary thing for me to think like, wow, can I really be getting everything that I've said that I want? So far that seems to be the case, and I guess time will just tell. But anyways, I'll probably do more videos on dating. There's so many different little parts of it that I kind of want to talk about, and just being a part of the lesbian community, that's been a whole other experience. So stay tuned. If you want to keep up and follow, subscribe, and feel free to always reach out, leave a comment below, or you can follow me and connect with me on Instagram at ecbettis. So thanks so much for watching.
I remember I went up to Tahoe for the weekend with a friend, and I knew that first night. I told my friend, I said, this is not what I'm interested in. I mean, it's easier. There were men left and right. I was getting messages and the people trying to match, but that is not what I wanted. It isn't what I wanted. Some nice people on there, but I flipped it back after that weekend because I just knew that is not what I wanted, because I would be settling again. For me, I wanted to at least give it a shot because I felt so strongly that in the end, for me to be happy, it would not be with a man, it would be with a woman. So I switched it back to women. I ended up not matching or seeing anyone else that I had any interest in and match. I had heard about Plenty of Fish. I tried that out next and had some very strange interactions on there. I'm catfish or whatever, I'm not sure. I did meet a good friend that's in San Diego on Plenty of Fish. So not the worst experience, but not my favorite. I then went on Her, and I enjoyed that dating app. I actually met some friends on there, and Bumble also. Probably around May, I think, is when I added the other two, Bumble and Her. I ended up completely doing away with Match, and I did away with the Plenty of Fish, and I stayed with Bumble and Her. And I ended up 5 months into my journey of going out with people, which I'm glad I did. I hadn't even gone out in the dating world. So basically I was meeting friends. It was people that we both ended up matching, but it was more of a friend thing. So I met a lot of good friends on the dating apps. And then I ended up meeting Britton. So she was my first relationship I've ever been with a woman. And it is the best thing I've ever experienced in my life. I've never had such a positive relationship. I've never had such attraction to anyone. We're going on 2 years, and it's almost been the longest relationship I've been in. And I'm just so happy that I took that step and I didn't hide from what I wanted, what was best for me. And I'm my authentic self because I didn't push away my feelings, and I stood up for what I wanted for me. I didn't settle, and I took time to really realize this is what I wanted for myself. I'm sure you will meet that perfect person like I did eventually, and you'll see that it is exactly what you thought it would be. At least that's how it is in my world. I am the luckiest to have found Britton. We plan on building a life together, and I'm just so happy.
Would you debate for love? And despite everything, say you won't give up. Would you debate for love? And despite everything,